Hi all, in this video we will try to understand how to check marriage is promised in a horoscope or not by using KB astrology. So in KB astrology or Nakshatra astrology, you need to check the 7th cuspal sublord to know if marriage is promised or not. So if your 7th cuspal sublord is connected to the houses 2, 7, 11, then you can say marriage is promised. We'll come to know another factor also in order to decide a promise of the marriage. In a minute, I will tell you that as well. So you first need to understand who is the 7th cuspal sublord in your horoscope. It is I'm showing an example horoscope in the picture. So here clearly you can understand the 7th cuspal sublord here is Mars, right? Just check the 7th house, the 7 number, and also the sub, right? So 7th cuspal sublord is Mars. So now you need to check what are the houses to which Mars is connected. So if you go to the planets table, then you can clearly understand Mars is connected to the houses 8, 7, 4, 11. 8, 7, 4, 11 here. So it is clearly showing 7 and 11. So marriage is clearly promised. Marriage is clearly promised. So if your 7th cuspal sublord is connected to 2, 7, 11, then definitely means any of the numbers 2, 7, 11, then because second house is house of family, you're adding a number to your family, you're adding a member to your family, right? 7th house is of course house of marriage, and 11th house is fulfillment of desires. And there is another one, that is 1, 6, 10. If your 7th cuspal sublord is mainly connected to 1, 6, 10 and it is not at all connected to any of 2, 7, 11, then marriage is not promised. What if 7th cuspal sublord is not promising marriage? Then what you're going to do? If 7th cuspal sublord is not promising marriage, then you need to check the nakshatra lord of the 7th cuspal sublord. Why we are checking the nakshatra lord? Because in nakshatra astrology, the fundamental principle is any planet has to listen to its nakshatra lord. Any planet has to work on the matters indicated by its nakshatra lord. If a planet is sitting in a particular nakshatra, let us say Pushyami nakshatra, and Pushyami nakshatra lord is Saturn. So, and if Saturn is sitting in some second house and it is a lord of some X and Y houses, so the planet sitting in the Pushyami nakshatra has to work for Saturn, right? So it has to work on the matters of the second house, and also as Saturn is the lord of X and Y houses, so the planet sitting in the Pushyami nakshatra has to work on 2XY, right? So every planet has to work for its nakshatra lord. That is a fundamental and basic principle in nakshatra astrology. So even the sub lord has to listen to its nakshatra lord. It has to do the works indicated by the nakshatra lord. That's why if your 7th cuspal sublord is not promising marriage in the sense, if it is not showing 2 or 7 or 11, then definitely marriage is not promised by the sublord, but you can check the nakshatra lord of the sublord, because the sublord has to work on the matters of nakshatra lord. So just check here. Of course Mars is of course showing 8741. in which you can find 7 or 11. Now you just observe the star lord of Ketu, right? So the star lord of Mars. Here the star lord of Mars is Ketu. So Ketu is indicating 7, 8, 4, 11 in the table. So Ketu, the star lord of the 7th cuspal sublord, is also showing 7 and 11. Of course, any one number is enough, right? So then you can directly say marriage is promised. Marriage is promised because even the 7th cuspal sublord is showing one of the numbers 2 or 7 or 11, and the nakshatra lord is also showing, of course, additionally 2 or 7 or 11. So marriage is definitely promised. Now marriage is done. Now how would it be the marriage life? How would be the marriage life, right? So in order to understand that, see, 1610 are detrimental to 2711 because all 1610 are 12th to 2711. First house is 12th to second house, 6th house is 12th house to 7th house, 10th is 12th to 11th. So obviously in nakshatra astrology, the basic and fundamental principle is any house, anything which is 12th to 8 is actually detrimental, right? So 12th house is detrimental to the first house. The first house is detrimental to the second house. Second house is detrimental to the third house, right? So obviously if your 7th cuspal sublord is showing 1610, let us take an example. You're just checking the 7th cuspal sublord and it is showing 7, 1, 6, 10, right? And also 8, let us say. So you're checking your 7th cuspal sublord and it is showing 7, 1, 6, 10 and also something like 8. So what does it mean? So as your 7th cuspal sublord is showing 7, so definitely marriage will happen. Marriage is promised. But 1610, it is showing 1610 also. So as it is showing 1, see, 2 indicates is addition, or you're adding a member to the family, and when it is showing 1, you can clearly say the person may not mingle with the family very well, right? So 1 is not a good number in the when you are seeing in the 7th cuspal sublord. And if you are seeing 6 indicates 6 is directly detrimental to 7. So 6 is a separation or disputes. So through some litigation there is going to be some problems in the marriage life for sure. And 10th is also detrimental to 11th. 10th is detrimental to 11th. So if you are seeing 10, it is also it is indicating unfulfillment of desires through your marriage, right? And if you are also seeing 8, that is indicating hurdles, hardships in the marriage, the obstacles, the kind of grief you experience in your marriage life, right? So if you're seeing 2, 7, 11, that's good. If you're seeing 1, 6, 10 in addition to one of the 2, 7, 11, then of course you will get married, and at the same time you have all the problems. And 8 of course indicates hurdles, hardships, grief and sorrows also. And even the nakshatra lord, you can check the nakshatra lord. Nakshatra lord is the nakshatra lord of your 7th cuspal sublord is going to give it's the most significator of whatever it says, means it is going to set the pattern very nicely. So in the nakshatra lord, if you're seeing one of the numbers of 2, 7, 11, then of course, right, marriage is promised. And at the same time, if you're seeing 1, 6, 10, 8, 12, these kind of numbers, 12th indicates a complete separation, right? So let us say in a particular horoscope, right, the seventh cuspal sublord is showing 7 and 12, and the nakshatra lord is showing something like 2, 11, and also 6. What does it mean? So the seventh cuspal sublord is clearly showing 7, so marriage is promised, and it is also showing 12th, so it is indicating separation. 12th is a clear isolation. 12th indicates the isolation and seclusion. So definitely 12th house is going to impact, right? So definitely that's going to give at least a kind of temporary separation in the marriage life. And nakshatra lord, in the nakshatra lord, I'm just saying 2, 11, 6 are shown, let us say. So as it is showing 2 and 11, of course it's indicating a promise to the marriage, and also some kind of fulfillment of desires. And it is showing 6, so 6 indicates some kind of legal disputes and also the litigation problems, so there would be some kind of trouble, right? So when you are considering marriage, 1, 6, 10 are not good numbers. Even 8, 12, 8 indicates the hurdles, grief. 12 indicates at least some separation. If you see 6, then definitely it's going to lead to some kind of problems in one of the horoscopes. If it is present in this particular boy's horoscope or girl's horoscope, in any horoscope, if you find 6, right, that's going to give some kind of legal disputes and litigation, right? So what is the procedure to check the promise of the marriage? Just check the 7th cuspal sublord and what houses it is signifying. If you are able to find 2R, 7 or 11, right, one of these 2, 7, 11, then marriage is promised. If you are not able to find 2R, 7 or 11 in the 7th cuspal sublord signification houses, then you need to check the nakshatra lord of the 7th cuspal sublord. So if the nakshatra lord of the 7th cuspal sublord is showing 2R, 7 or 11, then also marriage is promised. Is showing one of the 2R, 7 or 11, then also marriage is promised. Then you may ask, if 7th cuspal sublord is not showing 2R, 7 or 11, and the nakshatra lord of the 7th cuspal sublord is also not showing 2R, 7 or 11, then what does it mean? Then it means marriage is not promised. Marriage is not promised in your horoscope. But there are some chances, if you try to observe, if somewhere your Venus or Jupiter is strong, or somewhere some planets are also going to signify your 7th house, right? So in the main periods or in the sub periods of that planet, if you try to plan, you may get married. But at the same time, you need to be very careful about your marriage life with the houses indicated by the 7th cuspal sublord and also the nakshatra lord of the 7th cuspal sublord, right? You need to be careful with the 7th cuspal sublord house significations, and also you need to be careful about the nakshatra lord of the 7th cuspal sublord's significations, right? Because marriage is not promised, but marriage is not promised in your horoscope, but still you want to get married. So because of some kind of some planets may signify 7, right? So in those main periods or in those sub periods, you may get married. There are some chances, right? Definitely, if the other means, if your spouse's horoscope is also, it has some kind of recommendation about marriage, then of course you will get married, right? But at the same time, you need to be careful about the significations of your the 7th cuspal sublord and the nakshatra lord of the 7th cuspal sublord, right? So this is how we can check the matters related to marriage in nakshatra astrology. Thanks for watching the video.